No, I'm sure this will be watched in the future, but I just starting to put together some great conversations with some outstanding men. And so joining us today is Ray York. He is a realtor, father here in the greater Seattle area. Ray and I got to know each other about 2.5 years ago when we became cohorts in crime, leading offices of hundreds of real estate agents. And I'll just say this. I didn't say this before. I didn't even tell I was going to say this. I love you, man.
Love you too.
I really do. We've gotten such an awesome relationship. He is beating me in golf currently. And I got an idea. We are going to start tracking this weekend. So it's going to be a steady leaderboard. I think every time the four of us play, it's going to be a steady leaderboard. We're going to see where we stand at the end of the year, right? This is the
less subjective.
Yeah. And granted, we may have a little bit of an edge over Alan and Gary, but cool. All right. So real estate, this is all about fathers in real estate and, kind of not even managing expectations, but let's just hear your story. What got you started in real estate?
It's funny. Probably what got me started in real estate was I bought and sold my first house in the mid 90s, late 90s, or early 90s rather. And I had no clue. Like back then, there was no internet. We had to have a book. And I just drove around in the areas I wanted to be in. Anyway, bought a home, had no idea, just did what the agent told me to do. Sold it a few years later, still had no idea, just did what the agent told me to do. And when I was all said and done, I barely had enough money left to buy lunch after closing. So,
wait, so you're so old, you were using a pager to find homes?
No, the real estate book.
Real estate book. Yeah. Okay, pre-internet.
Yeah, pre-internet.
Just to be clear, Ray is older than me, right? I just want to.
I'm just gonna go with who has more gray hair, but that's.
Okay, Ray, I get it. That's awesome. So you're driving around, you're making no money, but you're loving it, right?
Yeah. So my second house is actually when I found out that I had a real love of real estate, and it was through a lot of the "you can't do that" motivation, right? So trying to find a home, hired an agent through a friend, and I was a systems administrator, so I built large networks and databases and so on and so forth. And when I found out that there was a central database with all the real estate information in it, I was like, I want access to that. And they said, well, you can't do that. You're not licensed. It's like, well, okay, I'll get licensed. So I got licensed, and in that process, bought my home, went through the closing process, and was like, the hunt for the real estate. Now that I'm licensed in it and I understand what's going on versus my first house where I had no idea what was going on, it really ignited a feeling and excitement in me, and I went, I want to be in real estate at some level. I thought I wanted it so I could invest. And then a fateful thing happened one day, and I walked out of my job and magically had to make real estate work. So I was working up in Mount Vernon and had to do desk time. That was back in 2006, back in the good old days. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, we've been full-time ever since. Love it. And
so you wanted to get into real estate to invest in real estate?
Essentially, I wanted to get into real estate so I could have access to the database.
Right. So you could kind of look at it. Now, have you invested in real estate yet?
Not beyond just primary residences.
So that's something that we're going to change in these next couple of years. Don't you agree?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Let's get after it. I had my eyes open this weekend, and I've been sitting there doing the same thing. Like the busyness of working and providing, right, for the family. Yeah. There's not a lot of money left over, right? So we got to figure out how to make more money so we have more left over, and B, get creative with the financing and stuff like that. I think that this community can be actually a really good community for helping us find more deals together and do stuff. Because, I used to be very combative with agents. competitive, right? Like you're kind of competitive, not combative, but like you're trying to get listings. You're trying to win out over the other ones. Like the best team in Seattle is the Seattle real estate team. The second best team in Seattle is the York real estate team.
This was on accident today, but
it's fine. It's okay. You, like I said, you can wear that. But we got to get ourselves in a spot where we can do some more real estate. All right, so let's kind of go. Let's work the father thing in there. Back in 2006, you're kind of a young father, right?
Yeah.
What were some of the challenges you faced?
Well, I mean, the day I walked out of my job was the day my first mortgage payment was due on my new home. I had two young ones at home. I'm not sure exactly how old they were at that time. Let's see, Felicia was probably 8. Colton was 3. Is that right? Something like that. Yeah, 3. And I mean, the pressure, right? Like I have a mortgage and I don't have a JOB anymore. Now I'm self-employed. I'm 1099. Didn't know what 1099 was until I went out on my own. And it was very real. And there was a crossroads at one point because I loved working in the resale world. Turned out that I was buying a new construction home and going through the closing process with them. It came up that I was licensed, and then they went into recruiting me to be a site agent. And this was before the Great Recession, 2006, right? Mm-hmm. And I was finding success in resale and loving. I mean, I never made that big a chunk of money in any one thing at any one time, and I'm thrilled by that. I think most hunter gatherers are, right? And then Quadrant Homes was the company at the time was recruiting me to come and work as a site agent, and that I didn't love it. I had said I'm breaking away. I'll never work for anybody else again in my life. I'm going to work for me. And
so let me back up just a little bit. So you went from solo agent to then kind of getting pulled into the new construction, which was more structured, right? And you did that because you felt like there was some sense of security in that.
Yeah.
Or
so
because you were good at it and they liked it. You liked it.
I didn't know if I was good at it. I really didn't know. Right. I mean, I hadn't done my only experience with a new construction sales agent was the one who sold me my house. Mm-hmm. And I will say that I thought, well, if that person can do it, I can do it.
That's what everybody says that about real estate. If that guy or that gal can do it, I'm pretty sure I can. Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, that guy is a friend of mine today. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know how much I was underestimating him in that statement, but he made it attainable in my, from my point of view. So really it was a conversation. It was a conversation with my kid's mom, my now ex, and going, I want to go the riskier, higher reward route. And she's like, that's great, but we've got 2 car payments, a mortgage, and let's go the safer route. And the safer route still had promise of more income than the job that I had left. So we went down the safer route.
Gotcha. For a while. And then you made the step out once you kind of had the ropes. So I think if somebody is getting started in real estate and they want to take the route to be a site agent, what's one piece of advice that you would give them that would give them a leg up for becoming an agent working at a site for a builder?
Go and talk to a site agent who is bound to just that builder or just that community and ask them questions, because it is a different world. It is a different world from what we would call traditional resale real estate versus new construction, full-time new construction site agents. It's a very different world.
This is my assumption. I'm totally off the top of my head, but it's my assumption that they're much more salesy. They don't want you to leave the site. They want to sell you that house right there. Whereas a traditional agent, it's about advocacy. It's about saying, hey, let's go to this site, look at it, and then let's go to this site, look at this. Let's talk and decide which is best for you. Is that fair?
That's 100% fair, because the site agent has potentially only one neighborhood that they can sell, and maybe 4 houses, 4 floor plans, if you will, that have different flavors of ice cream, the different front or different color or whatever, but it's the same floor plan inside. And yeah, the site agent is a trained killer. They have to figure out how to take, your what, where's my frame, your white search and make their, one of 4 houses fit that search.
Product fit. Yeah.
And whereas, and site agents are trained to act as if a buyer's advocate, but they represent and work for the builder.
And then here, I'm going to add a tip for anybody that's actually gotten this far in the podcast and is listening and they're a new agent.
This is riveting. Of course
I know. They're like, turning that off. Is go in there and find a builder that just does a few here and there and may have one that's been on the market a few weeks. You're not committed to selling their site. It's new home. People feel good about it. And you will pick up buyers. So I think that's the hybrid, is if you want the flexibility without the attachment. But of course, you just got to find what's right for you. All right, let's pivot a little bit to family time. So what are some of the benefits of being in real estate, and how that benefits you with your family and your family time, or did benefit you and your family time? Ray and I are both like empty nesters. So for us now, we're like, what do we do with ourselves? Maybe more me than you. But I'm just saying.
Yes. Well, for me, with new construction, I ended up selling in the neighborhood in which I purchased. So it was really, and it was an hour and a half drive from the main office. So there's a little bit of, hands off. Like if Ray's selling, we leave him alone. Uh-huh. And so for me, I did have the flexibility of, like, my daughter. She would come to the sales office with me most days, or a lot of days, not most days, during the summer break, and she'd hear Dad sell real estate. Like she knows the scripts better than I do. And having
and
that,
then you trot her out and say, "You don't want her hungry, do you?"
I have to feed.
Honey, yes, I think we're having dinner. They're signing.
Well, and the poor kid had to be my role play partner when people weren't there, like, okay, now you're going to say this. And, but I will say that in that world, I knew when I became a site agent that was not my end goal. Yeah. I wanted to move into management and then executive level in new construction and home building. And I ascended to that. And, I'll tell you, be honest and really, really vulnerable is, my family fell apart in part because of how much dedication and focus and unwillingness to take time off, because I couldn't, to achieve the goals and make the income. And my family suffered for sure.
If you went back, what would you change?
I think I would have a greater awareness. I felt at the time that I was doing the right things. It turned out that when I was in the new construction world, that I found myself having kind of 2 worlds. I had my colleagues and my aspirations, and I had my family, and it was super difficult to integrate them. And when I say worlds, I'm talking about just the 9 to 5 or the time I was on the site, mm-hmm. or in the office. It was the social events, and for me, I went back. I often went to my wife and said, "Hey, we're doing this thing. A, is it okay if I attend? And B, would you please attend?" And she, for whatever reason, I won't speak for her, opted out of those things. And you go do it, it's fine. I trust you, whatever. That was never a concern, but it was just a part of my world, which now you reflecting back on it, like, as a married man, especially a Christian married man, I never saw two separate worlds. I saw, one world, my family, and I'm one of the strands in that rope, right? And now going back, she like, that's your world. I probably would have been a little bit more. If you're not going, I'm not going, right? But I was too close to it at the time to see that, I guess.
I think that that's actually very interesting because in the master class that I wrote for going part-time to full-time, the first one is alignment. And I think you're kind of speaking to this, is that I am an introvert. I don't know, you are an extrovert, but I know you have some introverted tendencies too, right? You want to chill. But for me, work is going out, socializing. I love it when I do it, right? Being an introvert or extrovert is just about energy, right? It takes more energy. So there's an apprehension there. And, but it's part of the business, right? Because the more people who know and trust Ray and Dan, the more people that are going to think of them and think of real estate and want to, and when the need arises, they'll think of those guys. So that's why as a business, you're like, we go out to these social things. And, in hindsight, you got to have, anybody starting in the business, you got to have an alignment with your spouse, with your wife, to say, let's do this business together. No, you don't have to do any of that stuff, but let me show you how us going out together to this event helps create community that I want you to be a part of. And I think that's kind of the mistake, I guess, that I know I've made that too, right? Yeah. Is not bringing them into that world. And also too, if you go to your wife and say, hey, this is what's needed, you might not want to get into real estate if there's not that agreement, because it will constantly be one of those things that just never works out. At least have buy-in, because that makes it so much easier, right? At least have buy-in.
Hindsight's 2020, right? And you didn't. I can't speak for you, but I'm going to assume that I can in this particular situation, is that you didn't know when you started what life was going to be like in real estate until you got into real estate, right? And the same thing here. I didn't know. I thought that it was, I would go to the site at whatever, 10 in the morning, and I leave at 6 at night, and that's the end of it. I didn't factor in that, well, there's trainings, there's out of town events, there's social events that aren't necessarily always optional.
Right.
Like we used to, when I worked for Quadrant Homes, they used to do New Year's at the Needle, or not New Year's at the Needle. No, they did that as well, but they also had what they called Night of the Stars, and it was not an optional event. We had to go. It was black tie, casino theme, on the Space Needle, and the first time I went, like, this is great, and then turns out, hey, there's an after party. And then the next year now you know what it is, and now you're like, anyway, so no way of knowing that other than my perception going into it beforehand was just a 9-to-5 gig, and it's a block away from my house.
That's awesome. So now the kind of the current market conditions and where you find yourself now, what do you think is kind of the future of where real estate is headed, and what kind of mindset's needed to be successful?
We just had this conversation with our team today, and one of our new agents, like, I don't people say, how's real estate? I don't know how to answer it. Like, if the answer is always, it's exciting, right? Even if it's the deep dark days of 2009, it was exciting.
It was exciting. Yeah. Like a horror movie exciting.
It was a horror movie, but it was exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting. I almost want to like break out a pen and show you, but like, if you look at the real estate market, like, which way am I going here? Like a sine wave, right? I'm going the wrong way. There's highs and lows.
Yeah.
But every high is different. and every low is different. And how you evolve and change in those highs and lows, it's how you move to the next cycle of highs and lows, right? So what's the world of real estate look like? I don't know, but I'm excited.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. I think that essentially that it's a professionals market, and fewer people are getting into the market. So, and fewer people, and a lot of people are getting out, right? So people that were thinking about retiring are retiring. And then what you see, if you take that sine wave, or, oh, I can't do it.
See, you can't do it there, dude.
And when you get to the bottom, and then the market picks up, that's where you gain market share. So there's tons of great opportunity. Okay, last.
I do want to say this really quick.
Yeah. No,
is when it was a right place, right time market, it's one of my worst years, couple of years ever, because I'm not that guy. Like, I'm not the guy that says give away everything, give away your cash, give away a child, whatever it takes to win. I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
And now that we're in a skills-based market, we're having some of our best years. But Corey Tenboom might be a name you know, maybe in the audience, but she wrote The Hiding Place, and she said, I have to be thankful for the valleys so that I better appreciate the peaks.
Yeah.
And the valleys are where we are made better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hard times make hard men.
Yeah.
Strong men.
Strong men, yes. And how's your faith been? How has it helped you through all of this last 18 years?
Man, I like to say that I kind of always have a dialogue going on with God, you know. I don't have faith in myself. I have faith in him. And he's not an ATM, right? And when the money runs out, or when the troubles with the family or troubles with work happen, I have to remember to open my heart and my mind and say, please don't let me miss the lesson in this. You didn't take me through this just because I wasn't a good boy, right?
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that I mean, obviously there's ups and downs, right? And when things are going really well, sometimes we forget the connection. We come in when things are kind of bad, and I have to say that the good news about that is that he's always there. He's always there, so that when we do kind of recognize, I got nobody else, that there's this kind of peace and calmness. And I've been in places myself with my own business where I thought, how am I going to get through this? And we forget that if you have your health and if you have your family, money stuff can be replaced, right?
Yeah.
Financial stuff can be replaced. And so stepping back to the fatherhood and real estate is the flexibility and the discipline is what provides you that interface. That if you take the time to schedule and be disciplined with your loved ones, the business takes care of itself. What is it? Time expands, work expands to the time allotted, right? So if you put on your calendar date night, or if you put on your calendar, lunch with the kids, or you put on your calendar the wrestling meet on the weekends, you can't schedule a listing presentation there. Right. You schedule it after, right? Those types of things. And I think the beauty of this business is you can make a lot of money, and it's flexible. You just have to be a good boss, discipline yourself.
But here's the thing though about that is that I'll speak for myself, but I think I'm speaking for a lot of people, especially men, is we'll put that time blocking on there for the wrestling meet or the basketball game, and it might be negotiable.
Yeah.
We might go, well, my primary job is to provide, and the only time I can meet these folks is during Timmy's basketball game.
Yeah.
Well, Mom can go to the basketball game. I'll go and get the listing, right? So, I mean, time blocking is great, but you have to decide what's a non-negotiable and what is negotiable. Because, I mean, I block out a particular time every week for myself, and that's the first thing I'll give up when someone needs me. You know,
Is that the best thing to do though?
You know, you got to sharpen the saw. We all may or may not know that analogy or metaphor, but I think that as long as there's some sort of, as long as I'm reconciled to some balance, right? Like, so my day, you know, some my friends, my team members, my wife know that Thursday's my day to golf. That feeds my soul, frustrates the heck out of me, but it's fun. I get to spend time with friends. I get to meet new people, and prioritizing that is very important. But if my listing in Auburn needs whatever for me to be there, I'll give up golf and go take care of that. Right.
Which is why we're not playing this Thursday. I get it. We're playing on. I know we're playing on Sunday though.
I'm playing Thursday. You can come.
Oh, you are. You're playing both days.
Yeah, I got to be better for the open for our guys.
Oh man, I laced one last night. It pays to have the wind at your back at Snohomish golf thing. Man, I just crushed it, and it was like 286. Nice. Like just crushed. And the wind, the flags are like straight, you know, like I'm
perfect.
Like, oh no, that's me all the way.
You had the kids there too, right? So hey, this is how Daddy hits the ball.
Just want to show you. Yeah, we did that. Cool. Well, hey, I appreciate your time, Ray. Like I said, I love you, man. And I appreciate you coming on here and talking. We'll do others in the future. We'll do some topical stuff, maybe some technique, stuff like that. And so thanks for everybody for listening. Please do subscribe, like all of that stuff for future ones. My next podcast, I'm actually bringing on my mentor, my OG, the guy that I began my career under, very much a mentor for me in fatherhood, faith, and real estate. Way, way more than Ray. Way more.
See, I was going to say something really nice to you. Love you too. Like, man, I get to spend time with you. I'm so whatever.
Awesome. Well, Ray, thanks again for coming on, and everybody have a wonderful week.
Thank you.